wake up ever. Oh.
I think lots of stock footage.
No. Man, they're just playing
Super dark stage set.
This is one step away from yakety sax.
but like
They're kind of the same building.
That's right, it's 100 Days of Making Comics with me, Gazbot, and today is day 61. I'll just throw away my collectible. Today is day 61. Pretty much the whole day was Tokusatsu Mania, which is what I do with Q and some of our friends once a month for a year and a half now. It's pretty awesome. Usually there's a Godzilla movie involved, usually there's some Ultraman involved, and then whatever else gets mixed in. I mentioned a couple days ago that I got Space Sheriff Gavan, the movie. Never watched the show before, but the movie was awesome, and I recommend it if you're a fan of the genre, if you're a fan of campy fun, if you're a fan of sci-fi superhero stuff from the 80s. It's serious in the sense that it's not a parody, and it is like a straight up action sci-fi campy. I say campy, but it's not parody. I'm trying to think of a good, like a Doctor Who maybe? Doctor Who level camp, you know? But it also is very much a throwback to the old stuff, and it has the original Gavan actor show up and do a bunch of stuff, and it's pretty great. Watch some other stuff too, including Ultraman Ginga, or Galaxy, which is this guy, which I've never seen before, which I think is the second most recent, and it is the character who will be in the show I'm going to see when I go to Japan, so I figured I should probably know a little bit about him. Anyway, that was fun, and that was pretty much all day. Got up, did a few things, and then everybody showed up around 12. Watched stuff until about 9. The little fun clip show in the beginning you saw was a little sampling of the stuff we watched, including the Japanese Spider-Man, and actually that's not quite how they say it. They have the theme song, and it's like Spider-Man, Spider-Man at the end for some reason. I don't know. It's fun to say. Change Leopardon! This all makes sense if you've seen it. If not, you could YouTube it, and it's fun. We've been watching it for a little while now, and you know, a couple episodes a month. And what's fun is that in Marvel, apparently they've recently made that version of Spider-Man canon in the continuity, where Spider-Man's jump around to different dimensions and he shows up. The Japanese Spider-Man shows up with his giant mech and stuff, and so I have that comic being held for me at the shop. Haven't bought Spider-Man in years, but I need that issue. Anyway, finished all that, and then bag. Then around 9-ish, 9:30. Decided to put some work in on the Horror A4, and I did. Worked on the same page, which is now page 6 layouts. Got one panel done, a little bit of extra. I did do a process video, so I'll throw that up. But well, I'll just throw it up right now. Ba-ba! Okay, so picking up from yesterday, this is page 6 of the Horror A4. I had done panel, I believe it was 5 on the left there, and today I'm working on panel 6, but the first thing I had to do was readjust the size of Boots in panel 5, because she was too close to the size she was going to be in 6, and I wanted to show that her and the thug behind her had moved forward in space a bit. And it's a very, very similar panel. I was listening to Akira Kushita, who is probably my second favorite Japanese singer after Ichiro Mizuki, and they are both old-timey kind of what they call Anison singers. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I'll put a link to him in the show notes. But yeah, so I was doing Boots here, and while again it's still kind of a rough, I was immediately happy with the way she looked here versus yesterday. I kind of redrew it yesterday a few times. She still came out looking a little stiff and off model, and pretty much the first time I drew her on this panel. It was exactly what I wanted and pretty close to model. I mean, I need to make her a little less scowly. And there's the thug, and you can see I put those stupid little cylinders again because I sort of get messed up with perspective on him. I kept the same exact perspective line, the horizon line, between these two panels because the background doesn't change, just them moving forward through the space. After I drew him, I was pretty happy with the first time I drew him too, but then I wanted to make him have a little bit more motion, especially since he's walking more quickly than her, so he should look like he's moving a little bit. And I was more or less happy with what I had there. Then I blocked her out to see what it would look like. And I blocked him out, and I ended up covering up most of the background I had done. Luckily, I hadn't put a lot of detail in the background. But I did decide that I thought it would work better compositionally if I flipped him, which you can see me doing here. The body language makes a little more sense, and it opens it up a little bit more, so his arm isn't covering up her, or she's not covering up his arm either way. And then I just had to readjust the drawing a little bit to put that back there. And I think I also decided to change his head. Yeah. I wanted him to look like a big guy, thick, kind of muscular, but just naturally muscular, not like he hits the gym all the time. So I made his head smaller. Checked the background and put a little bit of shading. Yeah, you can see I put a little bit of detail in the background before I put them in, and they cover up almost all of it, so it doesn't even matter. Little mood shading. Again, this is the kind of stuff I don't really need to do in roughs, but I don't know, it just helps me visualize. So I was pretty happy with that. Then I went in and messed around with these gutters. I'll probably spend way more time than I need to. I was just trying to fill in white in these gutters, but I couldn't figure it out because I had the big box on a separate layer, and so I was trying to use red to identify what and blah blah blah. And I did this a really dumb way, and I probably spent 5 minutes working on this, but whatever. It was 5 minutes. Then I got it right, and there it is. Yeah, and then that's pretty much the end. I think I started working on the top panel. Yeah, I brought up my reference. Started working on the top panel is Boots sitting on the Stansport tube, which is like a sort of a subway car. And I don't even think I finished her, let alone the panel. So when I go to the quote-unquote final to show you, it'll be just the bottom two panels. But yeah, I sort of had her in profile, mucked around with her proportions a little bit. And as you can see, I kind of drew through two panels on the bottom just to kind of help give me an idea of how big she is. And I also realized I'd never really drawn her backpack before, so this is the first time I did that. I wanted it to be a small, round little thing. And then I kind of forgot what her head scarf bandana thing looked like, so that helped that in the reference that I had done it in a profile there. And that's a good argument for a turnaround. And then I wanted to put on her headphones, but I might change that around, so I put it on a different layer just because that's the kind of thing I'm going to have to redraw. But anyway, these are the two panels. The one on the right is really the one I worked on today, and that was pretty much my day. That was the process video. And unfortunately or fortunately, that was only about a half hour. Unfortunately, because I'd like to get more, but these days have been crazy, and I've been cutting myself some slack to just the 30 minutes. Unfortunately, or fortunately, because even though I put in a half hour, it's kind of better than the half hour I put in yesterday. I got about the same amount of work done, arguably a little bit more because I worked on some other things. But I was much happier with the way it came out. It flowed a lot better. The look on Boots is a lot better, and so it just, came out feeling a little more positive about it. Meanwhile, in work-related news, I showed you that page I colored yesterday, and that was page 1 of what turned out to be an 8-page job. The gentleman who hired me, apparently, the penciler who worked on it just agreed to do 6 or 7 more pages for either the same book or the next issue. And they want me to color over his pencils because of the way, I guess the way we work together, or the fact that I turned it in on time. Something about me he liked. It was the cut of my jib. Anyway, I'm going to be doing another 7 or 8 pages, so now it's like 14 pages total, 15, which is cool, and it's the most comic book page coloring I've done in a row in a while. Especially this not my own. That's the main thing. I mostly color my own stuff. So that's good. And it's the kind of work I'd like to get because it's at least in the field of comics as opposed to, corporate stuff, which I still do, obviously. So that's that. And what else? I am a dodo bird. So yeah, not a whole lot, much else to report. Tokusatsu mania all day, a little bit of horror work at night. I might work on a few other things, maybe some coloring. I owe a page on the other book I'm working on, Kid Switch. And yeah, I'm going to call that a day. Day 61. Crazy that we're this high, or that I'm this high. I'm so high, dude. No, but you know what I mean. No, numerically high. Percentagely high. Because it's day 61. And that means...
there are 39 days left.